Hi, and welcome to the Walking Dead Support Group, where we have cleared another episode of The Walking Dead. I am Jason McCarthy. To my immediate right is Alex Mann. To his right is Keith O'Brien. Keith, kill count?
Nice segue. Nice segue, yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty clear on this.
Keith us to death. Go ahead.
I got 14 zombies. This includes what we have, just so for clarity, because I know there's some online discussion on it, that this includes the assumed kills around the car, because they had to get out of the car. So
they
that
didn't
we counted
show
those.
them all, but we're fairly confident.
Yeah, we're
they
fairly
had to kill them to
confident.
get rid of that car.
And we've always gone with that here on the Walking Dead Support Group. And we saw, of course, what's his name?
Are you talking about Morgan?
Morgan. We saw Morgan clearing the two walkers from his little pitchfork of Pitches of Peril. Those little Goonies reference. Okay. So that included those two. We didn't include the two that he didn't kill yet because that wasn't it. So we got 14.
Very good. Well, we've started a kind of a new trend here on our Walking Dead Support Group with a shout out to our new followers on Twitter. So if we could start with number 1, the Zombie Reporter, and number 2, Paige, who is absolutely amazing at throwing up information for us. Number 3, Debbie Fowler has jumped up on the radar for us on the support group and had a lot of posts. And then Nikki, who absolutely loves us. Yes, so thankful for you, the support group. You guys rock. Nikki, we agree. Next is Jill Clouds. I believe she's out in the Vegas area. Jill is amazingly busy on the support group pages and keeping up.
Like single action cults.
Jamise Fright, can't be her real name, so we'll go with Meester Freester. She follows us on the Twitter feed. And Darylicious and Furry Rose. This was a conversation they were having about the support group that was fantastic. Yes, I was live. Your tweets, great talent there, the Walking Dead Support Group. So once again, thank you all for that. We appreciate your love. So let's get this going. Tonight's episode was called Clear. And I got to get this over with because I know if I don't, I'm going to feel bad. I think the other title for this could have been National Lampoon's Walking Apocalypse Vacation. They're driving down Holiday Road in the family truckster, and it worked for me. All right, so...
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet? Yeah. There's Carl in the back. So the episode was called Clear. We've already beaten it up a little bit with the title and made some use of it. Realistically, we weren't really sure how this was going to go as far as how literal to the title it was. And then not only was it somewhat literal, it was written all over the place for us. It was written on cars. It was written on the walls. But in our discussion before coming in, Jason, you were even talking about how you thought there was more to it with the term Claire.
I think it may have had something psychological to do with Morgan. I think when he was recollecting to Rick that you had given me the gun, I think he was trying to say it was clear what I should have done. I should have killed my wife because now my wife killed my son. And I think that was that clarity that he was speaking about.
Keith, what do you got for the title?
Well, I went with clear as, it's obviously Morgan's lost it, and he's got this word in his head, clear, He said it to, when he stabbed Rick in the shoulder, he says, I need to clear you. He goes, why don't you come with us? Rick says to him, and he says, I have to clear. And it's obvious that if you put it all together, he's got the pitchforks and little traps, walker traps. He gets them stuck, he kills them, he clears them, puts them in the pile and burns them. He's really running that town really well. He's just
for a one-man show.
For a one-man show, he's doing really well. Right. He's just lost it completely.
Near the end, I started taking the clear, more of a clear conscience. That it doesn't really matter what you do. And for me, the telltale line was when he had said to Carl after saying, hey, by the way, you know I'm the one that shot you. Sorry. But we're okay, right? And basically, that's basically what I was saying. Hey, it's fair. But Morgan turned around and said, "Don't you ever apologize, because it is clear what you must do. You must free yourself from the trappings of family and love and everything else to do it. with that, you also have the layers of the word clear showing up everywhere. It's indicating this spot was safe. This spot is not safe. Because if you look, the way they walked in, it was marking clear. So we know the walkers can't read. So you can walk into a path and get in if you follow that trail.
Yeah, he had it marked.
Right.
Clearly.
So that was clear.
Completely.
We're just going to...
But I agree with you because it takes, he tells Carl, don't ever apologize, because hopefully he's giving him sound advice that he never got. If he had killed his wife, he'd still have his son. If his son had killed his mom, he'd still be alive.
Right.
So he wants to make sure that.
But he
whatever
also
message,
had the chance to kill
her
his wife when she was walking.
right, and he didn't do it. So going along with what you're saying with the clear conscience, and I had thought that
Plus,
too.
and you know what? The two gun nuts here didn't think of it was a clear shot.
It was a clear shot.
He had a clear shot and he did not take it.
This is true.
But
it's I had gone into it. Maybe we're going to get some. It's going to be a clear. Before we came into the show and we saw the show, I was like, it's clear what we have to do, and that wasn't obviously what it was. Now that we see it all goes on, but he's giving hopefully advice. But along those lines, like you said, they left that town with a clear conscience, and didn't have to worry about, geez, I hope we run into that hitchhiker on the way back, because they did, and they got his backpack.
Yeah, they ran into his backpack.
Yeah, backpack.
And his blood.
Got his backpack.
yeah, he's no longer Diego the Explorer.
I still say it would have been better if he was, like we said, he was running into the town and they drove away back in the other direction.
Right. One of the things when we were getting ready to do this episode that we always do is I'll go through IMDb and the AMC synopsis of the coming episode. And that's where I first
because
saw...
we just can't wait.
No, but it's good show prep. And I
Yeah.
think, the viewers that are enjoying us are absolutely appreciative of the fact that we bother to go do this kind of stuff. Because I once I saw that the guy who played Morgan was listed again, which is Lenny James. I had thrown that immediately up on Twitter, and I threw it right up on our Facebook page, which is Walking Dead at WDSupport Group, or on Facebook, it's the Walking Dead Support Group if you do a search. But when I threw it up there, immediately people were jumping. We had Glenn and Kirk had both already called that this guy was coming back. People that had been asking where he was. And it always seems just at the time when the fans are clamoring for this information of, well, why isn't the grass cut? Or where's this person? Or why isn't this one dead? Or where's Carl? Look how long we were after that. They really have a good bead on what the audience wants. There's no way they know ahead of time this is how we're going to react. I really feel like, we've been set up the whole way for all these topics to kind of come up for us. But I was really happy to see him come back. And it was this...
He might not be gone either.
Oh, he's definitely
not
here.
gone.
He's definitely not gone.
He could have a moment of clarity,
Right. Well,
and find them at the prison.
we know that they're probably going to have to leave the prison. Everyone in the prison wants out.
Right.
This is their Woodbury, potentially. I mean, when you think about it, everyone's coming up with these really innovative ways at trapping and dragging in the walkers and getting that going. So now all of a sudden we see a whole new one with bait of live animals and on skateboards.
Right. And Michonne and Carl picked up on it right away. Hey, let's go get some of those rats on skateboards so we can get into the KCC.
Yeah.
But it's not, to me, that town's not exactly a strategic fallback. If you look at what's going on between Woodbury and the prison, they want to kill the people that are in the prison. They don't want the prison. So if they run somewhere else, they're going to
just
try to
gonna
follow
find them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not really a strategic fallback.
And by the way, do we have another? I understand that the show likes to, as you say, they listen to the. I'm sure they're not adapting their writings. This show's already in the reel,
Right.
But it's just odd that it's like things happen and we're all like excited for it and we're like, I hope this happens, and it does happen. But it's like we have another gaffe in the show. I mean, how close is Rick's hometown to this prison?
Right. Well, we've figured out he's already back, which is, what was the name of the county? It's
King County Cafe.
Well, we know he's down in South. He would be a sheriff of a county.
County, yeah.
So he's obviously the sheriff of King County. So we got that little information.
We got that little information. And I'm not saying that they didn't go on this little road trip and they got into the car and they've been driving for a long time. But my point is, it's like the hometown's been this close, and he went right back to his little sheriff's armory to see if he can get more weapons. I'm thinking, why didn't they just go back there while they were driving around for 8 months? I don't know.
Yeah, that did take him a while to kind of get to that point, didn't it?
You know, it's like, I mean, that's fine. I'm fine with it if they were driving around. You know, we don't get that.
Well, he was
It's
looking for
timing of the
stuff and
show.
things.
Stuff and things. But it's like how close is this prison to his hometown? I mean, did they not know about, is Woodbury...
Well, look how long it took him to get to the prison, though.
Yeah, they were just driving around in a circle.
Right.
So if they're driving around the circle, they never went home?
Right. And one of the topics that we had coming into this one was, leaving the hitchhiker on the side of the road. We knew something was going to come out of that. And in the room with our audience, as we were watching it, prepping for this, we were all kind of like, he's going to show up now, and he's going to show up again. And that whole, all of a sudden now what happened, by the way? Because everyone just seems to be able to kind of, I'll go there now, and they're there. Like, Michonne is obviously like a lightning speed ninja. The hitchhiker walks through an interdimensional door and is caught up to them. I mean, it was interesting. But Emily Harrington had thrown up that Rick is a total jerk now because of that one scene where he just kind of said, nope, keep on going.
Keep on going.
And there is some truth to that. But at a certain point, no one can really be trusted. And they outright said from the beginning of the season, fear the living, fear the dead, fight the living.
Fight the living, yeah.
So, and that's obviously holding up.
Well, you can't take any chances.
No, you can't.
There's
Especially
already
with
been-
hitchhikers nowadays.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
But I mean, they had the trouble in the bar scene, and who are you going to let in?
Yeah.
Right.
It's
And one
a
of
great
the other,
scene, by the way.
I'm not letting anybody in on my team. Clearly.
yeah. And if you haven't seen it, stop watching right now and then come back later on YouTube or something. But we're gonna let a big spoiler out. Jason, what happens to the hitchhiker?
You never really noticed. Because he doesn't exist anymore.
There's parts.
All that's left is his backpack, a long, very
And then
long
yoga
stain
mat.
of blood. A yoga mat, yeah.
We're horrible. One of the questions that had kind of been kicked around between Twitter and Facebook, people were debating whether or not if the governor was ever good in comparing him to Rick. And we had thrown this up on the Facebook page, and we got some interesting comments back. So was the governor ever good? Was he ever at a crossroads? And we just haven't seen that backstory, like Rick obviously was. And is this where he's at now? And certainly the writers enjoyed this mirror image, this duality that they like to throw it of. It's basically the same archetype. So we have Rick who's doing one thing and the governor who's leading the group basically trying to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Similar styles, like it's obviously a Rick-tatorship and a Phil-tatorship.
Phil Connors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you have that going on. So, I mean, what do you think? Are we looking at a governor who might have been good? I mean, in the comic books, he was always outright evil. But we've left the comic books a long time ago with probably the title sequence. Keith, where do you think it was? One of the great comments I saw was somebody actually wanted a little bit of a flashback with the governor.
I agree with that.
I think that would be great.
Yep.
Yeah. There would be, because we could have an off-campus. I love that.
Another off-campus. Yep.
It would be good to get to see if we can find out how the governor got started.
We'd get more Penny.
Oh, we would get more Penny, yeah. We'd find out maybe Penny's mom killed her, and then he can find out about the whole Morgan thing.
Right.
And he could be clear. That's actually fun, actually. Just saying. But no, that would be actually a good episode, that they have a backstory to the governor and how did the governor start? What did he do? Maybe he was a weatherman for Channel 8 Atlanta or something.
I still maintain politician.
It could be they call him the governor and he runs Woodbury, but it would be nice to get I think a backstory on that, just a little off-campus.
And Kirk has told us via text that we are loud and clear. Thank you, Kirk.
Aha!
And now we're getting heckled from home on clear.
Well, he's clearly heckling the booth. The booth
Yes.
controls the microphones.
Absolutely.
So he's heckling the booth. Thank you again.
So one other thing that came up in the during the course of the week was AMC was thinking about moving The Walking Dead to one of their smaller sister networks, and the backlash on that was massive. And you know, here's the thing: me personally, I like the show obviously because we do this. I don't think if they move it, it's going to be bad. I think if they want to air it on one of their other sister channels, it may not be so bad. But we've all read the article, and if you haven't seen the article, it is on our support group page, just for light reading. But Jason, what did you think of it?
Yeah, they said in the article that it was kind of an economical move. I think when you move to a lower station like that, you're going to run into problems of some people don't get those stations. You know,
Right.
you're going to lose.
Well, I think what they're
however many
hoping is
viewers.
people going to buy
They're
into
hoping
that
people
part,
buy
but
in.
you can't get that one channel. It's not a la carte. You have to get like a bigger package.
Right, but economically speaking, too,
So
you're
it's an
gonna,
Xfinity thing.
It's actually Xfinity and Fios and Time Warner.
I get IFC.
Time Warner actually was the one that was really thrown under the bus in the article.
Yeah. So it's a New York. Wait, never mind.
but they may be trying to up the revenue of their other stations too.
No, they're trying to up the revenue. Yeah.
It had to do with not just the revenue of the station, but the amount of money that they get from per subscriber.
Right, per subscriber,
Right.
because you would have to buy a package through Time Warner or Xfinity, whether you're in the city, and they want you to buy in. Like all of a sudden, if it goes to IFC, I mean, if you're on FiOS, and maybe Xfinity has IFC, because I think IFC was mentioned in the article. You know, it's not like, I mean, this program's on at 9 o'clock at night, so they have plenty of leeway. I mean, we got Michonne dropping a couple of nice, good words.
Yep.
You know, she dropped BS and dropped another thing, and we got words written on the walls. You know, if they move it to IFC, maybe they'll have a little bit more leeway on what they do in the show, but then that's going to increase your budget, and you're not going to make that kind of money on 20 cents a showing on Time Warner because you're selling a package to the Time Warner people. So for our Walking Dead support group members, which we have, I'm sure, a few in New York, write your congressman, stop that.
Well, the other crazy thing about it, since we're in Crazy Town today,
We're in Crazy Town.
is that
Clearly, I don't know how we got there.
when you have a big hit like this, you don't just go in and change its location. That's just bad timing. When your show is the #1 rated cable show, which is now trumped Sons of Anarchy, and trumped a lot of these other, like The Sopranos, all these other things that made networks, and that when they stuck by those programs and really kind of kept it going, have developed them in a way that people want them. And they're not only that, but they're making money off of the reruns, they're making money off of the DVD sales. But Saturday Night Live is now making parodies about it. So do you mess with that? I think it's crazy though.
Yeah, it's just an article they throw out there. They're not going to stop, like you said.
Yeah,
It's a phenom, and they're getting support from people they never thought. The show's getting support that they never probably thought they were going to get, and it's clear. Sorry, that wasn't on purpose. I was really meant to use the word then.
For those of you playing the drinking game, drink. He said clear. Again.
No one's going to remember this show anymore.
No. I don't know who I was with that.
We just lost you?
You just lost me.
Awesome.
Payback.
Oh well.
All right. So let's move into one thing that's a little off script that I didn't see coming mostly because of the title. A lot of the other titles have given us indications that there could very well be some of these the biblical undertones. Tonight we actually got a chapter and verse. The meek shall inherit the earth.
Yep.
And I found it interesting that the most barricaded, heavily armed guy considered himself meek.
Yeah.
And when you heard the story and the reaction on Facebook and Twitter when they heard Morgan's story, I mean, talk about picking people up. I mean, that was amazing. So I don't know necessarily if they're the meek ones, but what did you think of Rick's reaction to that, Keith? I mean, the meek shall inherit the earth, and you and I are meek, and you're going to lose your boy. I mean, he said, you're going to lose your boy, you're going to lose this.
You're going to lose your boy, and everyone else.
But you're still going to be here.
Yeah, and he said, you'll die, you're either going to die by bullets or bites. Bitten or bullets, is I believe what he said.
Yeah.
So, and I think, I don't know, I'm not on board with the whole biblical thing, I guess. It's out there, though.
Even when they're quoting the Bible.
Even when they're quoting the Bible. Yeah, they quote the Bible. But I think Rick sympathizes with them. But unfortunately, it's Rick's, he saved Rick. Rick's trying to save him again. And Rick didn't get off any luckier than Morgan. He lost his wife.
Well, look at, again.
He almost lost his son.
Look at the duality of two guys who said, no, we're going to go on our own. We'll stay in touch.
And they never did.
And, well, they tried. But why didn't Morgan said he heard him, but then Rick never heard him answer. So why wouldn't you answer? But again, you had these two guys trying to save their family in essence, and you've had one somewhat successful, one not so successful. I mean, Rick did not even bring up the fact that Lori died during childbirth.
No, he just said he was gone. But you're right. When Rick left him, he had his son, and Rick wanted to go find his son.
Right.
And Rick finds his family, and Morgan loses his. But it wasn't like Morgan was ready to leave with Rick. And it wasn't like, and Rick wasn't a real leader then. Rick was just, he was
a one-man show.
He was a one-man show. He's in a bed sheet, and he's new to the whole new universe, this world. So.
Jay, what do you think?
I think that as far as Rick's reaction, I think it was just more crazy talk. He was kind of loony throughout the most part.
Who you thought Rick was?
No.
Oh,
Morgan was,
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think Rick kind of just took it all in and let it all go. I don't think he...
Right. He didn't seem to personalize anything.
No.
And he almost saw it as, this guy saved me, now's my chance to save him. And again, this is what the writers do to you. You make a decision from season 1. And that decision, that the rock in the pond, doesn't ripple back until now. And Morgan was blaming Rick for not answering the walkie-talkie after a while, and that it stopped. And Rick's like, he has to know there's a frequency range on these things. They don't just go forever.
Line of sight.
And the other thing was he figured out that once you die, you come back.
Yeah.
So he already figured that because he had his note up on the wall. What was it? Dead, but you come back, or you turn afterwards.
Turn. Yeah, he said something. There was something on the wall.
So a lot of the lines of that ripple effect. If you have not seen all the episodes of this show, go back and watch them.
Yeah,
you're not going to understand a lot of what's going on.
You need to go back.
Netflix.
We're not endorsing Netflix.
But Morgan's clearly lost it. But he's a one-man show who's losing it. He's lost his wife first, then he lost his son. Now he's obviously got nobody, and he's barricaded himself into that town, done very well for a year and a half, and he's built up a support, and he's in full control. But in the meantime, when he meets this is probably the first interaction with real people, unless he's killing real people as they show up.
Right.
And it's Rick, but you see him losing it, or his mind's wandered and he's just completely lost it. But in the same token, he's got a map of the town on the wall. He's written down a lot of names of people that he didn't know anybody. I mean, was he a resident of that town? I mean, if it's a small town, did Rick know him ahead of time? No. So it's like he's got all these names on the walls. In big letters, he's got Dwayne Turn, but in little letters, he's got all, this house is cleared, this house is cleared, and he's got names written down and what happened and things that have happened over the time that he's been in that little town, barricaded himself in. So he might be insane, but he's in control of his insanity. He's in control of his own world.
He's put up checks and balances to keep himself, when he goes into that state of, like where Rick was seeing things and looking for stuff and things, at least Morgan had started putting up the checks and balances of, I wake up and it's like, how do you fix Groundhog Day? Well, you had to learn from your mistake. Well, he's waking up and he's trying to figure out really what's going on. So by putting up these notes, you can't deny it. You can't lie about it. So he had no real choice but to deal with it. And one of the other comments around the whole mirror concept was, and I had noticed it, I think it was Tina who mentioned it, that they do show the governor a lot in mirrors.
Yeah.
And I don't understand the symbolism of that. I don't know if it's to show the good, the bad, literally.
Dr. Jekyll,
You
Mr.
know?
Hyde.
Yeah, exactly. He's looking at his himself, and that's is he looking at himself for who he was, or who he could be, or what he should be? We definitely haven't gotten there, and the previews are showing, and we know it's not going to be next week. There's no way it's next week.
Oh, the face-off?
The face-off, that's not happening
No.
next week. That's
But where is that face-off? Is that face-off in the prison?
No,
Or is
that
is
looks
in
like Woodbury. Yeah.
Like in one of the rooms in Woodbury?
Right, I think it's in Woodbury. Next week episode is going to be Arrow on the Doorstep. Jason, what are your thoughts on that one after what we saw for the coming attractions?
I think this title is going to be metaphorical. It's kind of
that's a metaphor?
yeah, it's a warning.
Okay.
The arrow on the doorstep. To me, it's a warning. Something to do likely with Woodbury retaliation, either going to Woodbury, or Woodbury said we'll be back. I think that it's just the impending fight that's going to come.
What do you think, Jay? I mean, Keith.
I think, along the lines of metaphorically, I think arrow on the doorstep is the prison, the people in the prison are on their doorstep and they're ready to fight. They're the arrow on the doorstep. I'm sure it has probably a lot of tendencies towards Daryl, but I think it's a group, and it's the group's effort to not run, not hide, but defend themselves, and maybe even go on the offensive. They've got their arrow on their doorstep.
Mm.
Of course, they've had it on there before and they've lost. So.
Well, that was the other thing with Michonne. They made a point to show you she found another crossbow with a bunch of arrows as she was
Yes,
putting
they
the
did.
stuff in there. And of course, I think when you hear arrow, you automatically think of Daryl, because he's the only one really running around with a bow and arrow. Which why aren't more people doing that? You can make arrows. Why aren't people making spears? Like, those are great, simple, basic, primitive tools that you could do. We're out of ammo. We better go into town, risk running into people and the governor to get more ammo. Obviously you're going to need it to go up against the
Maybe
governor.
they learned how to make booby traps
on
this little trip.
Those were fantastic.
You know?
Another reason for arrows, they're silent.
Yes, they are.
Right.
And you can reuse them.
Well, yeah. Depends on the break and how badly you made them.
Yeah.
All right, so as we're coming up near the wrapping of this, what we always do here on the Walking Dead Support Group is we like to, what did we learn from tonight's episode? So those of you who are playing the at-home game of the Walking Dead Support Group, jump up on the Facebook page or our Twitter. It's WDSupport Group. And let us know what you've learned from tonight's episode. But tonight I get to go first. So from tonight's episode, what I have learned is Michonne can talk. And Michonne is not just yes, no. She's good to go. Jason, what'd you learn?
I learned that Carl is severely missing his old life. He's going back for that picture. He needed to feel like that family was whole again. He needed something to look at like that.
Well, he even said that was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So, that, and I think that is worth going after.
I agree.
Yeah. Keith, what did you learn tonight?
What I have learned is that Carl and Michonne have bonded.
Yes.
And they are hooked up for the rest of this show. Okay? Carl was told to go back to the car. He shows up and pretty much saves Rick's life and puts a round into Carl's chest. Morgan's chest. But Carl and Michonne have bonded through this little adventure to pick up a photograph, and she now knows what he wanted, and she gets the little
Frame.
cat.
Yeah.
The Art Deco cat thing.
Cat pinata. But I'm telling you right now, Carl never dies from a walker, and Michonne never dies from a walker if Carl's around, because they're going to save each other's life again.
Absolutely.
They didn't save each other's life tonight. Well, technically, yes.
They probably did.
But I'm telling you right now, those two are bonded, and Carl has more respect for Michonne. Michonne has more respect for Carl, and he's not going to let anything happen to her.
I agree. Keith, why don't you take us home?
So I want to thank you all, the Twitter followers that we mentioned, any new Twitter followers, our followers on Facebook, the guests that came up tonight, once again, Zach in the booth, And for Jason McCarthy, Alex Mann, this is the Walking Dead Support Group. We'll see you next Sunday.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.